Hey, Christian, thank you for coming to our program. How are you today? Where are you?
Hello, Lily. I'm pretty good. Thank you. Just ready for the winter here in Europe. So it's just the season, but just trying to keep up with the
Okay.
weather and all the rest.
So guess what? We have an International Day of the Immigrant. Did you know about it?
I had no idea such a day exists. It's practically a new for me.
Yeah, it was new for me too, but well, we are celebrating this day internationally. So when we do these kind of celebrations, I think most people think about the home country, and I would like to ask you about what is it like growing up there in your country? Well, first of all, many people don't know where you're from. Tell us about you a little bit, and then tell us about what is it that is like
So,
there.
so my background, so I'm Colombian, and then I think let's say that I didn't immigrate because I wanted, and it was just practically an extension of probably what I wanted to do with my life. This was part of the project, the life project that I had before. So in that case, was just a coincidence that I choose a profession which was languages, and then I really wanted to do more a little bit. So if I had this channel of chances to go to another country through a language, to me was just that, and just wanted to have a couple of things. In that case, just was just my upbringing. I mean, studies, university, and some stuff related to languages, and then one thing connects to the other one, and then I guess that I got to this progress process of immigration until I became officially an immigrant.
Yeah, that's cool. And when you think about those issues that you're seeing as an immigrant, what do you think that influenced your decision to leave your home country?
Hmm. No. Well, let's say that in the beginning, to me, it was simple. So it was just a decision making progress process. Because once you decide, then you go to another step. But I was not already saying, "Oh my God, what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave my country, and I'm going to miss my mother, my friends, my local stuff, my context in general." But then was not wondering too much about the new life that I was going to live. I was just adapting myself to the new things, to the new context, trying to live with the new rules, trying to live with the mind thinking, the mind setting. It is a completely different experience if you want to put it into that way, because in my case, I live in a Latin American country. In that case, is Colombia, which is completely different to any other country in the world in many aspects, in the cultural aspect, in the mindset, in aspects, in the way we live, the joy we live. And then we go in another country, which is completely different. Could be in that case Europe, which is, let's say, like a more individualist behavioring of people because they live like that and all that. And then I didn't wonder about that. I was just living and trying to understand my new context, my new living place. And then I was not missing that much, but I was practically figuring out in many cases just like how is this parallel between my country and this new home that I have here, so I can better understand first this new context, and then also know and probably appreciating much and more the country that I left behind, in that case my home country. But it's in any case it's a little bit difficult not to leave all behind, but it's difficult to process that. And it's dependent to everyone. So in my case, let's say that I'm like a chameleon. And so I adapt pretty quick, and I don't regret, I don't cry it out over the spilled milk and all that stuff. I just try to keep going, and like that is more, I guess, a survival thing, maybe.
Now you,
Otherwise,
yeah,
otherwise it's difficult.
yeah, now that you're mentioning challenges, did you have any challenges while you were immigrating? let's say you have been into different countries. Let's start from there. And then,
Challenges. Challenges, I think, in any other country, the first thing you have to deal with is the language, because many of us, when we arrive in another country, probably we get to know a little bit of the language, but it's sometimes not enough. And that's probably the first thing you need to do, because otherwise then you will feel troubles, I think, because this lack of communication, this lack of this feeling of not being able to communicate with other people in the way you used to do before, expressing your feelings, especially that, yeah, feelings of joy or sadness or frustration. In many cases, that's probably the most difficult part. So I think the most challenging thing was the language. All the rest for me, not a big deal. I cannot say the food or stuff like that. Now, first the language, then of course is the family part. That's the second big challenge, because anyway you're far away. So in my case, uh, once I'm out, I'm not saying that I'm going to be isolating myself from the rest, and I don't want to talk anymore about that. But I think is a good exercise, and I think it's better, because otherwise, if you got these problems of frustration, sadness, stuff like that, and you're going to put back into your home country, I don't know, in this case it's your mother maybe, or your girlfriend or whatever. So I think it's going to be more a trouble for them than for you being in the country. So I think it's in that way.
yeah, that's exactly as you said. And now, talking about the way of your transition, your journey, how did you prepare for your move to a new country?
Mm, I think nobody is prepared for that. I think in the beginning it's just part of the adventure. At some point, it's part of the excitement. I would say that, because you say, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, and then it's like, okay, maybe now this is how I'm going to do it. And once it's there, in my case, was like that, because was just like this, like okay, in 2 weeks you have everything. You got to set up all your visa, your thing, and then you have to go. And that's sort of a quick surprise, and it's difficult sometimes to realize that just until the moment you're there. But I mean, they're in the other part of the world. That is another thing, because then is when you said to yourself, like, okay, what the heck I'm doing here, and then you see everything is another world.
I imagine that too. So, can you share with us any of these memorable experiences that you had, like the first time you left your country and arrived to
Yeah,
United States?
I mean, to me, I can say that I was pretty positive influenced by women all my life. I gotta say that. At the time, I met a woman that she taught me about an au pair program, and then she told me, yeah, you can do this and that, and like, okay, cool. But I was just seeing myself like, okay, I'm going to learn English, and that's it, that's all. I'm going to get my visa if it is able, if I'm able to do it, and then that's it. And then it was quick like that. Like in 3 weeks, I was doing all this process, and then 1 month I was in a plane, and then I was in New York myself. And yeah, it was like I was moving from riding a bicycle to go home, and then I was in an airport, and a huge airport, and I said, "Wow!" And now what? What's the next step? And then I had in front of my eyes like New York, and like, Jesus Christ, and then it's like this survival instinct, like, okay, okay, come on, come on, come on. I'm good at everything I'm trying to do. I have to just follow the instructions, the directions that somebody gave me, and I didn't know if that was going to work or not. And then I made
Cultural
it.
shock,
Sorry?
cultural shock that you had. And
Yeah, exactly. It's also that is cultural shock, and the shock of everything, because everything is completely different. So the structure of the country is different. Everything is huge. In that case, is United States. But in the end, to me, my conclusion was, okay, if I was able to get here and I was able to get to the point where I should be, and I made it, then it's all done. Then I can do the rest. Yeah. Then I knew that I figured out that I could do more. And so to me was a positive experience. despite that it was also shocking, as you said, it was shocking, but in the end, it's like, okay, I did it. So if I'm able to do it myself, alone here with nobody else, then I can do the rest. It was just in that
What was
sense.
one of those big differences that you found in this cultural shock, and when you went from this little teeny tiny city to this huge big city that you can remember?
Yeah, for example, transportation was probably one of the biggest and newest things for me, because in my hometown is transportation is what it's taking you 5-10 minutes. You can ride, you can walk, and that's it. You're there. And in case of New York, and then you got to figure out, for example, you got to take the subway or the underground. You have to take big distances from one point to the other one. And it's not that, okay, I'm going to the next one on the right, the next one on the left, and then I go straight and then I get it, because, it's completely huge. Then, I mean, of course, it's the first time you're there. You don't know absolutely anything. And so it's a new world. And then it's like terrifying at some point. Yeah, in the beginning. But once you step into it and then you face the big giant around you, and then you're like, okay, I can walk with these giants, and then it's pretty okay. But it takes time. It's not just like this.
And what about the language? Did you have any language barriers when you arrived at the beginning? What do you
Yeah, of course. So my English at the time was pretty, yeah,
miss?
little, was really little. So I could understand. But of course, the thing is like, one is I could understand, but one other thing is like, yes, I understand, or I understood what people was telling me. To me, it was like a big puzzle that they just were throwing to me. Like, then I was trying to figure out and trying to put all the pieces into the right way to ensemble that, and then process that, and then to do the things they were pretending to me to do. But yeah, definitely is the language the huge thing. And to me, in the beginning, was not easy at all. In the first, let's say, the first 2-3 months, uh, not difficult, not easy at all. I mean, the to me, the scariest thing in the world was when somebody was talking to me on the phone. Like, was like, my God, I was practically sticking the phone on my ear. Like, it's
Uh,
it's really funny at the same time, because it's like, you can talk on the phone and maybe you can understand to somebody when he's talking to you. It's practically
person,
between brackets, it's like the same, but no. But to me, it was terrifying, the phone, for example.
same thing with me. And also, like when you talk to people and people don't understand what you're saying, you're trying to pronounce one word and then you mispronounce it and they understand
Yeah,
something else. And then
yeah.
you feel frustrated. But in my case, I was just laughing. They were laughing, and pronunciation also was another thing that was difficult.
Yeah, this is also definitely a huge thing into this learning process, because is the first the language, the vocabulary you have. Then of course is you speak Spanish, and if you have a strong accent like me in Spanish, then I guess I don't like to hear myself when I was, even now when I'm speaking English or any other language, because to me, like, oh my God, I sound terrifying, I sound horrible, and I don't like to hear myself. But it's also that, it's also the accent. So sometimes people, they catch you, so, and they're like, and you see the faces they do, and like, oh yes, yeah, they are not understanding absolutely anything about what I'm saying. But yeah, but this is adults. So my case, I got I was pretty lucky, because I had, at the time, I was hanging out with kids, so 12 years old, 8 years old, so children are children, so they don't care about what you're saying, if you do mistakes or not. They make fun of you, in most of the cases, but it's just that for them it's just fun. They are not judging you, you know. And then in the end, I with these kids, in, I don't know, I guess in 4 or 5 months, my level was rocking up, because I passed at the time to, I don't know, to take what? Two, no, that's too much. 1 hour of exposure into a new language in a outside context, to 11, 8 hours per day. And so that's what makes the difference. And if that, you got a chance to do that with kids, that is a huge win and a huge victory for you in terms of the language. So to me, they are the best teachers, kids.
Okay, now that you mentioned about learning a language, where do you learn it?
So my first contact with languages was at the was all by random in my life actually, because I was pretty awful in high school. So I had I hated languages. And then my mother one day she told me, well, if you hate languages, why you don't take a course and that's it, and then you improve yourself, and that's all, and then stop complaining and nagging about the languages. I was like, no, forget about it. I'm just not good at languages. And one day my mom, practically she got me one of those English courses, and she didn't tell me at all. She just put me, hey, look, here is your book. Monday you have class at 6. You know, what the hell? What, you didn't ask me. Just go. And then I went, and I had this huge chance that I have an American teacher, Alex is his name. And this guy really hooked me up, and he motivated me. And okay, this is sort of cool. And then I and so in the end of the story, I finished 1 year English course, stuff that I never imagined in my life. And then after that, I said, okay, this is pretty nice. Languages are cool. And then I went to the university and I took more languages or foreign languages studies. And that was just for English at the time. Then I intend to be in the university, and I approached this more language program. And in the beginning, it was just Spanish and English. But at the time they opened the new curriculum, I guess it was English and French. But I didn't know, and the secretary at the Department of Languages, she made a mistake and she put me into this English and French thing. And then I was in the classroom, and then there was a woman, a French woman, speaking in French, and I go, "What the hell? This is not English." And then I asked what happened, and then she said, and I asked her like, "Excuse me, I think I'm in the wrong classroom." And she's like, "What's your name?" "My name is Christian." And then she said like, "No, no, 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 no. You're here. This is your first semester of French." Like, okay, thank you.
I mean,
And then yeah, and then with the little experience that I had in English, then I skip up a lot of stuff in English, and then I went to French, and I really focus on French, and then I start to learn French, and that's a little bit the story.
yeah. So after that, did you pursue education or a career in your new country?
Yeah, at the time, and that was in the United States. I did an English course that was a TEFL course, that's teaching English as foreign languages. I followed that course, which was pretty amazing, pretty nice actually. And then I learned a lot about what is supposed to be my profession later, and that was a good help because it really helped me to improve a lot into what is the language teaching process, the learning process, and also the especially the grammar thing about the language that I was trying to learn, which was English, and that helped me a lot at that time. And then I finished this training thing, and then I came back to Colombia, and that helped me a lot into the moment until in the time that I was going to finish my career in Colombia, but I was already teaching at the time because I had already 4 years experience of English teaching, and so that was good help. That was pretty good. That was my first studies that I did into languages. Yeah.
Look, do you think that helped you to make local friends or build a community? How was the perception of like, for example, the local culture? How did it evolve over time?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, despite the fact that there were let's say like 80% foreign people taking these courses, which was pretty interesting because I was living this sort of immersion with many different cultures. I was immersed with people from Asia, from Europe, more other people from South America, Argentinian and Chileans and Uruguayans, and all those new cultural backgrounds they were bringing into this into this environment, because anyway, in the end, you're learning something. But all those cultural stuff, sooner or later, they come. They come in one way to the other, expressing yourself in the way that you teach, in the way you're presenting something, and then it's like the positive stuff because you grasp like this one is nice, this one is nice, this one is positive, this one is pretty nice, and then it's like you're putting a lot of new things into one envelope, and that's just for yourself. And then the American people that they were there, so the teachers, of course, they do a huge, and they put a huge contribution because it's their country, and so it's like the way they work, the way they present, the way they express themselves, the way they they live the everyday life. Like you can really see that, and then you can see the difference between so many worlds into one classroom, for example, in that case, all different backgrounds, but in the end is pretty positive, pretty rich actually.
Yeah, and also I imagine you also found challenges in that stage in life, but like if we go back to when you were looking for work or adjusting to a new professional environment, what can you tell us about it as an immigrant?
As an immigrant, so let's say that in the case of United States, let's say that my job at the time was just taking care of these kids in this American family. So what I did, but I was not intending to find another job in the United States. But what I can say is like later, that was 2 years later, I traveled for the first time in France, and then at the time I was taking some. It was an interesting program. I want to exchange cultural program for Spanish teachers teaching Spanish in France, and then you're working with a legal contract and all that, and that was pretty rich to do, because then you're bringing really your work as a teacher, is your language, is your culture, and is all this different sort of stuff that you can do as a teacher, and you can put that into a classroom and then project that to the students. That was a pretty interesting thing. And in that sense, let's say that I grew a lot professionally, also personally, because it's again, so two is a new culture, it's a new environment, a new context with different people. And despite this likeness we have, for example, in the case of French with Spanish, because it's our Roman language, and the people also is the cultural, they are more alive, they are more let's say more boiling inside as people. It's uh, probably, let's say that French people or Italian people or Romanian people, for example, Portuguese, in the case of Europe, we can find a lot of likeness between, because it's also this what we call this Latin feeling, this Latin vein that is inside of us. I can say that it was pretty nice thing, pretty rich.
And regarding family, I guess you said something about missing or not missing somebody, but let's talk about the other side of the family.
Mhm.
Did you go abroad by yourself? Did you find somebody abroad? How was that? If you can share a little bit about that personal side of yours, how was
Yeah,
an immigrant?
I think that's probably the most interesting part of this experience, because it's like climbing a mountain, soloing, the mountain. I was going to myself. I was trying to I was trying to discover things. Is this new adventure? You are completely by yourself. You were just organizing a trip, and you get a project, but you don't know what to expect. You don't know what's gonna be, what's gonna be the result of that. But then you just go up there, and you're trying to climb up until you get the top, or maybe not. In my case, let's say that I made it, but definitely it is pretty. it's also pretty amazing how can you adapt and react to a different environment, because you are completely alone. So what I said before, if I'm alone, I got problems, I was not going to call my mama, look, I feel alone, I need this, I did that, or calling my girlfriend, maybe, oh my God, I miss you and I would like to have you here to help me. So I never did that. That's probably me. So I was living my thing. I had troubles, I had difficult circumstances, for example, at some point. But yeah, I try to survive and try to find a way to get out of these difficult situations, and just continue, because it's like it's the same situations you probably got to live in your home country when you're in your own context. Instead of crying, you try to resolve the problem and continue. And the other context is practically the other context is practically the same. The thing is, you have no support from nobody. I had not many friends or somebody to call, hey, can you help me with this or that, and blah, 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 blah. Or no, nothing of that. It's like you got to figure it out by yourself.
And what do you think was the hardest part of your immigration experience? Being there alone, being in this environment, as you say, facing all these challenges, having like all these issues that sometimes come together. And what is the hardest part that maybe you thought, oh, why did I do this? Something like that. Can you share with us?
The hardest part, yeah, the hardest part of that is feeling and getting to the point where you're just about to break, but you cannot break.
Wow.
If you break, you're over. So it's like, okay, I failed. Now what? I gotta finish all this. I gotta go back. I gotta through the trash can, or letting all this down the drain, and it's all over. And I fail it. But yeah, I guess at some point you gotta be pretty realistic and be pretty realistic about that. That this point maybe can come, but it's also up to you to solve and find the situation. For example, just one little anecdote. At the time, at some point, um, I was I was working, and at the same time I was studying, but I had this hotel or the bar job tender, yeah, as a bartender or something, and then I had nothing, and then I had like for 2 months, like I have nothing at all, no found a thing, and I didn't find anything at all. I couldn't find absolutely nothing to get some money to. God, I had to pay this little apartment, and I have no more money. And okay, the food. Okay, now is let's change the menu. In the morning we're going to eat pasta. In the afternoon we're going to eat pasta. And in the night, yogurt with pasta. And so like that, and I survived like 1 month until you. Anyway, I think the karma comes positively and negatively, up to you. And so let's say that before I hang out with a lot of people, and when they had like difficult situations, the students and stuff like that, I was always like, hey, no worries, just come and eat with me. I have this, we can share that. And then it came back. And it's like that. Like, it's like the circle is going around, forward and backwards, but in this case was going backwards positively to me, and in some points getting help when I needed. And then I could find a job again, and then everything is start over again. You woof, but I was not just waiting like, oh my God, how am I going to do, or crossing my fingers and then waiting for somebody to give me a job. No, I was going out like, oh my God, I need to go in every single bar. In that case was in Paris. I got to go in every single bar and find somebody that needs, even if it is to do cleaning in the stuff, but something. It doesn't matter what, but I need to react, and I was doing it into that way. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess living in survival mode makes you react to things that happen to you. No, it's not like what
yeah,
people say. It's not what happens to you. It's how you react to what happens.
exactly. I mean, to me, it's simple as that. So comfortable, a comfortable time or a comfortable situation makes you feel really comfortable. So it's like everything is cool, everything is fine. I don't need anything to give me troubles, or I don't worry about anything because I have everything. So I'm in my comfort zone. But if you got troubles, so troubles gives you also a pretty positive income in your life, and it's that one of reacting, like how I'm going to react to solve this trouble, because makes you react and pulls you out the a lot of positive stuff from you that you probably didn't know, and then you end up for discovering all these new things on you. So I think it's pretty positive. The uncomfortable zone in that case.
Yeah, getting
Yeah.
comfort zone is something challenging, but most people prefer to stay there, and very few people, let's say like 1 or 2% of people, they do it. And good
Yeah.
comes out of it. So, speaking about what these experiences have been for you, what do you miss the most about your home country?
Yeah, definitely. I miss my relatives, my mother, my brothers. Yeah, that's probably what I miss the most, because we are pretty united family. And so it was pretty difficult. I passed 10 years without seeing them in Christmas, for example. You know, after 10 years, it's like, yeah, wow. When you come back and you can hang out in Christmas time, it's pretty nice. Yeah. But my family was, yeah, the most important thing, and what I miss the most. Friends, of course, but family is family. Yeah, in the end.
Yeah, and then when you go there, and then you just don't want to come back to your home country. I mean, your new country
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with your family, and that's pretty nice. And also, I would like to know about how has immigration changed you as a person, if it has.
I think let's say personally, I mean, the fact that I did immigration, so I am still the same person. So that didn't change at all. So I'm still the same positive person. I am still the same easygoing person. Uh, I don't used to get worried too much, just what is necessary. Change me probably professionally speaking. Yeah, I feel that I changed a lot, and these experiences gave me a lot of a pretty positive background for every single culture, for every single situation that I live, good or difficult, because you can get a lot of stuff there, and then puts you into a, let's say, like a standby mode with a lot of resources in your pocket. So the day you need them, seeing that you have lived a lot of experience before, like, okay, I already passed to this, positive or negative, then in the moment you need it, you bring it back. And I think that is probably the most important, that that probably immigration apport or gave or brought into my life. I think this is pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's talk about your hopes or dreams now that you talk about that personal growth or uh, things that you would like to share with us. Do you have something that is for your immediate future in the country that you are right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I'm always thinking about this question as like what is going to be after this? I'm going to stay here. I'm going to come back, because that's the thing that probably many of the people doing immigration uh, don't think, or they think just in the end. And I think if that takes you by surprise, I think it's difficult, because anyway, you have lived after so many years out of your country, that for sure your country is completely another different thing. So it's not what you left behind. It's a new thing. Then it's like you're going to be new again into your hometown, or into your home country. Which is interesting. I think Sometimes I said that I'm going to work more at the time or in the years to, if those days come when I'm gonna get to a retirement or something like that, into this process when it's like 50, 65, I'm a retired person and I'm going to live my life sitting on the couch and just resting. And to me, like, I think no, I think I'm going to work more in when I get to this point. Because then is when I said, and it is stupid because I said, now I'm going to have probably the time to do that. Now I have the time here to live my life, to do the job that I'm doing. At the same time, I'm trying to build, let's say, like a little of an economical base. Thinking into that, I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. It's also depends of life, maybe danger sick or something, and then everything is over. But if you get to that, I think it's also that you need to be prepared, or at least you need to organize before. In my case, if I say you ask me like, what's my dream? I think one day if I go back to Colombia, I would like to set one of those like you know uh, like like a peaceful play like a peaceful place with this tiny home concept where people just can go there and just stay there for the weekend and detox from all the things we're living right now in the world, which is a lot. And I think in 20 years or in the 30 next years to come, it's going to be probably worse. I don't know, but yeah, this is what I think, but I don't know. But at the same time, is that I would like to build sort of a refugee corner where people just can go and chill out for a moment. I
Detox
don't
the
know.
brain.
Probably this is probably touristic idea development in the middle. I have no idea. But one thing that I know and I know for sure is that I know how to do it. Let's say that this is part of the professional experience that I gained before in Europe. Even if I am not using today this experience into the current job that I'm doing, yeah, but all what I learned before into this enterprise and management and project setting before, I think is still there. I mean, there's a new things that comes every day, but the base is always the same. And keep it simple, I think is the secret of that. That's it.
Yeah. So I guess it's difficult now when you have family, and now it's not just Christian, but it's just him and his other family. So decisions are a little bit more difficult.
Yeah,
Based
it's
on
also
that,
that. It's also that family decision. So I have kids in here. So my wife maybe she's up to one day to go back, no, to come up with me into Colombia and live in this next years to come. That's a little bit late. I'm talking into 25 or 20 years later. But she's up to. But as you say, and I say, I have kids, so I don't know what's gonna be with my kids. You always a father and a mother, so
yeah,
that is also something that you have to deal with. Yeah,
it's just decisions that sometimes are like the most difficult ones, and is deciding between your family and your dreams. So then
yeah,
to build it on the base of family. That's what we do. I mean, Latino are family oriented. And that's
yeah,
something that I admire, that all of us are just towards the humanistic part. So
yeah. I
this,
think this is one of the most beautiful uh, aspects that we as South Americans, or let's say Latino countries, like I said before, like Italy or Portugal or Romania, and these countries with this Latin background. So we are pretty attached to our families, and so it's pretty important, that aspect. So I think it's something that we need to rescue, and pretty it's pretty important, and there's a huge value into that. That's what I think.
yeah, it's so cool, so nice, because imagine that if I wanted to retire right now, my children have said, Mom, just don't work anymore. Come here. We'll take care of you. And I'm like, in my mind, hey, I'm still young. I don't see why
Yeah.
I need stuff right now. But
Yeah.
it's something cool because they are already grown. They are already like, imagine that my children are
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And you see,
oh,
and it comes again these differences because, for example, your kids, if they are there, so they have this value. That's the point of the word value. You know, they have this value. So for them, you know, you're the mom. It's like I want to keep my mom next to me, and I can take care of her. You know, in the end, and many of the people there, most of the people they do that. But for example, in here, like I don't know, after 70, 80 year old, just go to the these retire home places, and that's it. So my kids, they were born here. I don't know if they are gonna to cope with all these values that I'm trying to give them. You know, I'm not saying that when I'm old, you have to take care of me. No, but they are Europeans. You know, so it's
yeah,
like
it's a culture. But
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
something fun that we're discussing about with my children, and it's like another way of seeing life. And then you sit down with them, you have this deep talking about, okay, what if in this moment I'm like, let's say, going through a certain situation. I know that I can count on my children. It's not that I am depending on them, but I know that if something were not going right here, then I can just go with them. And it's just so interesting how before I was taking care of them, now they say they can take care of me. Not because I say you have to, but it's like it's born in them. And now
Mm.
we're speaking about their life purpose project, and I am included in there. So one of the
Yeah,
groups is like I want to give my mom a better life, so she doesn't have to work. And I'm like, how cool, so sweet to hear that.
yeah. It's definitely that point. Also, it's pretty interesting and pretty nice at the same time. Yeah.
Cool, because yeah, it's another environment here where I am in the United States. I have observed that many of these families they send their moms to these they call it nurse homes, or
Mm.
it's just so amazing how many people just get rid of uh, their parents and their grandparents. They die by themselves. I mean, alone. And I'm like, wow, that's not a like a nice way of ending your life. After you took care of your children, and now
Yeah.
you don't even talk to them. And there are some things that are different. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's a cultural difference. But to the point, some of these people are found dead after 1 week or 2 weeks, and nobody realized they were there by themselves and they're gone. And then you just find out that they died by themselves. I mean, alone. Wow, that's
Yeah.
something that shouldn't be like that.
You know, this is the reality. I can tell you about this reality. This is the specific or the typical panorama here in Switzerland, for example. So people, when they are old, so they just go to these home places, and that's it. That's all. And the kids, they're there. They go to visit them maybe once or twice in a month, and let's being positive, and that's it. And then it's like your life is over. So you're a retired person. So in between the brackets, you were rich, but when you go there into the home, you can have a single nickel in your pocket because otherwise they won't take you. And
Yeah,
so to me, it's like so. Yeah, it's. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So
yeah.
that's why I was saying that I wouldn't like to end my life here because if I have to go just to one of those homes, I mean, no way to do that. I prefer to go back somewhere else where probably I can survive in a different way.
Quality of life.
Yeah, in a different yeah, in a quality of life. I don't know if it's gonna be good because I'm gonna be old. I don't know, but at least I think I can find uh, the minimum of life, which is trying to socialize with somebody, you know, the neighbor, the whatever person who is somewhere, and somebody that you can talk. Yeah.
Yes.
And in the end, the family, they play enormous and huge role into that, because let's say family at some point they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not 100%, but at least the 50-40%, which is probably enough.
Yeah, we're just proud of our family. That's cool. But Christian, time is running, and
Yeah.
let's say that to just finish the program, which has been so great to be here with you, I'd like you to tell us like one advice that would you give to someone considering moving to a new country before we finish the program. What would you tell them?
This is the really grown advice. I mean, I would say if you're immigrating as a part of a life project, thinking into get something to come back into your home country, I think that's probably the best thing to do. If you're immigrating today, wherever country in 2024 and 2025 and all the years to come, I mean, don't do it. So, I mean, things are not easy. So before it was difficult, I think now is absolutely,
More difficult.
absolutely out of my mind to immigrate. At least that you have already an immigrating program or an immigration objective that you have already set up, and you know that you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and it's all for granted. But in doing it like before, like I'm going to do that and then I'm going to see how it's going to be, you know, uh, I wouldn't I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. I think you need a lot of courage to immigrate. I mean, now if you have it, yeah, go ahead and do it. So many did it before. Why not do it again? But I think we, I mean, if we can stay in our own context and do things in our context, probably is more hard in work to do, probably, but I think it's worth it. I mean, instead of investing all this energy and um, all these possibilities of changing or ideas you have, so try to do it in your place, not somewhere else. Is what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something very wise, Christian. Many people get out of the country, and that's what I talk about in my book, which is called Global Diaspora, cultivating your cultural intelligence and your global and your collective intelligence. Just have a plan, a purpose, a life purpose project gives you a direction. Yes,
Yeah.
go this way, no, go this way. So when you find this kind of let's say journey, and you have to make these kind of decisions, weigh which are the advantages, disadvantages, opportunities, threats before you go to another country, and make your decision based on real information. Talk to somebody
Yeah,
that
exactly.
abroad.
To me, these days is out of a question to say I'm going to immigrate just like that. Absolutely not. So I
Yeah,
mean, this I would say no, don't do it. Don't do it because you're gonna fail at some point. I mean, you got a lot of chances to fail instead of having a nice experience. I would say that.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that I also advise to my children, for example. They have already seen many things and they know what they want, and they
Yeah.
travel to other countries just to know other culture, but
Mm.
not because they are in danger of any violent situation or anything like that. It's just like they want to know what is over there, but not out of desperation, not out
Yeah.
of threat, or it's just out of knowledge. They would like to know.
Yeah, I know.
I,
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Well, so I also say thank you, and it was pretty interesting, pretty nice to have this talk and this conversation. I hope, I mean, somewhere and for some people, maybe could be interesting and useful, and yeah, a good sharing time also. So pretty happy for that.
Thank you so much, Christian. I think this is going to be very helpful for our people to listen to. I want to invite you to another program where we can speak in Spanish about some of the things that you have said, and then we can share with the world this more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my pleasure.
Running out of time, but I enjoyed talking to you again. Hopefully, we're gonna see you in our next episode. Thank you.
Yeah.
So much again.
Yeah. Okay, so have fun.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Say hi to your family. See
Yes.
you. Okay.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Ciao. Thank you.
Ciao.